Why don't we start with, tell us a little bit about you, Successful Superwomen, and why you started the group in the first place, and the origins of Successful Superwomen.
So Successful Superwomen is a community of female entrepreneurs. There's about nearly 4,300 now in the group. We started 3 years ago. And the main reason I started it really was community, because I was working on my own. I've been a wedding photographer for 10 years. I started a family, and kind of the loneliness sets in. You're working on your own. It's really hard to find like-minded people to work with or to bounce ideas off. And as many of you on here, men and women, know, when you're working on your own, when you're working in a company with a group of people, or you work 9 to 5, you have a different kind of connection, right? Because you're like, oh, I just need to talk about this or talk about that, or you can't do that when you're working on your own. You're almost talking to yourself, because you're like, damn it, I wish if I just had someone to talk to. And so the community formed out of that now, of wanting to share my ideas with other people. And then it gradually and organically grew into something much, much bigger. And it's now in a community where we teach, we inspire, we empower, we collaborate. So many people find, well, the majority of the women in there work with each other now. They've either found a photographer there, a fitness instructor there, they've found a website designer there, they've found travel agents in there, they've found beauticians in there, they've found wedding planners in there. And it becomes a really great community where you start building relationships that you can call on as well. Like so I'm originally from Tanzania. I'm born and brought up here, moved to the UK nearly 20 years ago. A lot of my friends are global. They're all around the world. So a lot of my friendships are very diverse, but also they're very, very far from me. So I'm here, left on my own, looking to build new friendships. And it's really, after your 30s, it becomes very difficult, I think, anyway. It's like when you're trying to date, you're like looking for someone to kind of, who's going to mingle with me, who's going to find me attractive, or who's going to have the same thoughts as me. And then it changes even more when you have kids, because, you have friends who don't have kids and maybe they don't understand your work-life balance. Sorry, I'm just going to get someone to have him for me 1 second. Go, no, Noni. Sorry. He's going to really clean your face. So we've managed to get women together to do so many amazing things. We had style shoots. So I'll give you an example of one business who actually has become a really, really good friend of mine. And she has multiple businesses. But she does this food. She has this food business, and we started using her house to start going to have brunches. Susan's aware of this because we have a Superwoman brunch that we have every month, which we haven't been able to do because of COVID. She has managed to find a copywriter for her website from Successful Superwomen. She's now got a photographer that comes and does all her food photography. She's now got a lady who's doing her website. She's now got someone else from the group who's also doing other stuff. Like, she's got 4 different people working for her. So can you please go to Nanny? Can you please go to Nanny? Why do kids do this? Why do kids know that you're doing something important and they come and tell you they've weed themselves or they need food, or it's incredible. But actually the friendships have grown in the community. Like, to be honest, being able to do this with you guys right now, from a different country, with my kids around me, has now become the new normal. And it's the freedom that having that group has given me, the freedom, because it's then grown organically into a much, much bigger thing where I now mentor specifically South Asian women. I mentor other women as well, but I find that is my niche because they can relate to me, they resonate with background, with the way I speak, maybe the way I teach. So I have that. And then obviously I met Susan through this, and she's, you know, probably one of my closest friends in the UK now. And we have formed great relationships, and we bounce ideas of each other. And I think that's the beauty of a community, that you meet people in there that you would never come across otherwise. And it really helps you to grow in various different ways. And from a business perspective, as a wedding photographer, it's given me even more confidence in my presence, if that makes sense. Like I can, you know, it's a very male dominated industry. So being around more women has actually given me, myself, more motivation and more encouragement to stand up for myself and teach other women to do the same. So yeah, it's a fantastic community. And if any of the women in here are not on it, please do come and join us. We'd love to have you in there.
So I know it's been fantastic, and it's grown organically, and you know, you've done that all using the Facebook platform, which I think has been great. How have you seen Facebook change, before we jump into like your paid community and your membership and how you kind of grew that? How have you seen Facebook change? And we still, you know, we're still on there. The group is still amazing, but obviously we see changes, right?
So we want to, so that the idea is to move a lot of it out of Facebook, because I have seen firsthand Facebook groups disappearing. I have seen a community of 40,000 people built and gone overnight. Obviously, Facebook it's not going to go away. You know, it's always going to be that platform that people have become to know and love, and they tend to find the groups there. But I think it's really important to have something outside of Facebook, because, you know, Facebook and Instagram, or any kind of social media like that, where, you know, your data can be compromised, or your Facebook group can just disappear. You just need one person to make some sort of phony complaint, and that's it. You're kind of red listed or blacklisted, whatever they want to call it. I think also with Facebook, what I found during the pandemic specifically is a lot of women did not have time to come onto Facebook because they were homeschooling, or they were busy doing other things like working from home and homeschooling at the same time. So they preferred to have something which they can go to that's not going to distract them. Because you know what happens, and we all do it, we go onto Facebook and an hour later we're still on Facebook, we're still scrolling, we're still looking at this one's post, and you go from one group to another group, and you're not really properly interacting in any one specific group then, because your mind is wandering from one group to another. Whereas if all your content is in one specific location where there's no distraction, and you have 100 people or 200 people that you can manage, you actually get to know them better, you know what their problems are, so you can offer them a better solution. And actually, in terms of making money, that is also a better strategy. Because if you have, like, so I have the group of 4,300, I could speak to them every single day, but the message doesn't get across, because, you know, Facebook algorithms change every single day. Like, so something new happening.
Can I ask you how you're because you're still using Facebook successfully, and you are also running the paid community. What are your top tips on how to leverage the Facebook platform?
I think the best thing about Facebook is making sure you engage, and making sure you have, and engagement is not something that you do today and don't do tomorrow. And I'll give you an example. In the last 2 weeks, so I had a summit, and then I moved my parents to a new house. So the last kind of 10 days, I've been like not consistent. And you can see that. You can see how your group dynamic changes just by you not being present. And you have to engage. If you can't be there every day, then you need to, you know, have content that you plan, or have someone in there like an admin person who can help you. And as your group gets bigger, if any of you have groups more than 1,000 people, you'll know it becomes really, really difficult to manage, because if people start spamming it, people start coming in and posting all sorts of stuff in it. So for me, the most important thing about growing it and keeping it, like, you know, dynamic and letting it grow bigger has been engagement, creating engagement, using different hosts to engage. So sometimes engagement is not just, you might find that asking a simple question like, how was your day, gets you better engagement than actually asking them if they need anything help, and, you know, if they want help with anything. because people are less forthcoming with their problems until they've started to build that relationship with you. Whereas if you start asking them, what's your favorite color, red or black? Or, if you had, I did one recently, if you had £23, what would you spend £23 on? And the reason why I did that, because my membership is £23 a month. So it's like, what would you spend £23 on? And people started commenting on it. So you have to be present, and it takes a lot of time. It's not easy. I was spending up to 8 hours a day on it when I first started the group. I don't do that anymore. I just haven't got the time to do that.
Yeah, because I think, so you were spending quite a lot of time on, and so let's talk a little bit about when you started to monetize that, right? And you started the new group, because you said that when you first started Successful Superwomen, it wasn't about that, it was about community and collaboration. And so when you first decided to launch the membership model, why did you choose to go down that route, the subscription model? Tell us a little bit about when, and then how you started to convert people over from, and do they all come from the Facebook group, or do you get people from other places as well?
So because I was spending, like I said earlier, 7 to 8 hours a day on it. So I was working my photography business. I had the kids as well. And then I was spending, my evenings and any spare time commenting, moderating it and all sorts of other things. And the DMs, like if any of you have groups, the DMs, they will just DM you at ridiculous times. So I decided that the only way to keep, to put a value on this and make sure that the people who are coming to me are genuine people who need help would be to monetize it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. They took him back, but he's come back. So the best thing to do there was to monetize it, because I was spending so much time trying to do this on my own. And also, I think you have to learn to appreciate and value your own time. Like if you're giving your time to someone, and if it's free all the time, there comes a point where if you do want to actually launch something like a course or a bigger program, people are so used to you giving it free that they're not going to value it the same way. And so I launched it at $9.99 a month. It was a very, very low cost membership. I had 50 people join the first time that I opened it up. And it was gradual. So it's been going, so the membership has only been live for about 18 months. So it's not been that long. And then we gradually increased the price of the membership. So it went from $9.99 to $18.99 to £23. And I don't have any intentions of moving it from £23 at the moment until maybe next year. But I might keep it at that price. I quite like that price. So, but you get so much in there. So you get the one-to-one time with me, you get the networking, you get the collaborations, you get guest speakers, you get all sorts of different things in there. And it's a fantastic, fantastic place. And at the moment we have like 120 members in there. But the members that are joining are not only from the Successful Superwomen free group, which is the main community. People are funneling in from word of mouth now, which is really interesting. So I've had 3 people join over the last few weeks that have come to me as referrals to say, we've heard great things about your group, can we join? And then we've just done a summit as well. And there were people that came into the summit, then joined the free group, that have now inquired about joining the hub. So there is some sort of strategy behind it, and you need to give it some thought, but ultimately it is your time. So even if you decide to go do a paid group, you need to make sure that you are able to commit to it.
And you, Bhavna and I run the mastermind on how to build a membership together. And I'm just gonna ask you a very specific payment question. So, there's the monthly membership payments and the annual membership payments. Which one is more successful for you? Do you offer an annual? Why did you choose to go monthly? Just let's talk about the revenue model.
I don't do annual. I do mainly, I only do monthly at the moment. I had one client ask me if I could take an annual payment, and I said yes, and I did it. But the only reason is because I find that, so there's a couple of reasons. The first one is that is like any subscription, right? If you have a subscription to Sky TV or to I don't know, to Netflix or whatever it is, if it's a small sum every month, you don't notice it so much. So it doesn't feel like a big pinch to spend that every month. Whereas if it's like £395 in one go, you might question, you know, oh, will I really get a lot from this? The second thing is I also find that because payments are regular, it reminds the person constantly because they're seeing that. They're like, okay, well, I'm paying for this, so I need to use it. Whereas when you pay it one off, sometimes you forget. You're like, oh, I paid for that. I should really use it. And then you forget again and then forget again. So I think it's nice to have, it's almost like a gentle reminder, so don't forget, you paid for this, so please come into the hub. I've also had a very small percentage of people leave when they get those reminders because they're like, well, actually, I'm not paying, I'm not using this, so I'm going to come off it. And they message me and they're like, can we come off it? And that's fine because I don't have a contractual obligation with them. And actually, I much prefer if they're not using it that they come off because it's much better for the group dynamic as well. The people are there and they're using it. So I personally prefer it to be a monthly payment. And I have seen different models of pricing. You know, there are people I know who have groups who do like tiered pricing. So they have like, you know, $9.99 for like access only, and then they have $15.95 for access and one-to-one, or $25.99 for access one-to-one and like PR opportunities. So like all there are different ways to price. So I don't know if any of you have questions about pricing. Happy to answer them.
Yeah, in general, if anybody has any specific questions for Bhavna, please do drop them into the chat and we can go through them. Bhavna, you also you're using Facebook and Ugenie, right? And so tell us a little bit about that. And I know also we want to still transition some more people to the Ugenie community, but you, like Heather, are using two platforms to manage your community. Talk to us about the challenges, but also why you've chosen to do that.
So at the moment, I find, so the transition is still ongoing. So I think we've got half of the women onto Ugenie. We're still navigating the other half to come on and start using it. I think there's a small thing that I'm trying to work with this mindset of trying to learn to use a new platform. And the thing is, Eugenie's platform at present is not that different from Facebook. So it's not difficult to use, but it's people's perceptions and mindset of, oh, something I'm going to have to learn something new. So we're navigating that and hoping to transition everybody onto Ugenie. I think that by maybe the middle of this year, we should have achieved that and got everyone on there. And that's the only platform we'll then be using to start putting all the information on. And I'm just really excited for you to do the video platform thing, because once you've done that, I can just do all my lives and everything on there, and everything is on that platform, and then it just keeps it cohesive. So the only reason I'm using both platforms is because of being able to just go live in there. It's the easy access of being able to just go live. And a lot of the speakers are all coming onto Facebook. They're all on Facebook. So it's easy for them to come and just do a live or to zoom into the group. So that's the only reason there's two at the moment. And I think even if I do transition everyone onto Ugenie, I'll still be keeping the Facebook group, only because it's what they know. Does that make sense? It's what they know. So it's easy for them to access, if anything. And we'll just we won't be putting a lot on it. We'll just be putting like the overviews on it. Or if someone has trouble signing on to Ugenie for whatever reason, at least they know that they've still got that as a fallback. But we want to transition. We want to keep the free group there for the funnel, and then we want to transition into just having Ugenie as our main platform where we do all our training and workshops. I know there's a few questions. Do you know if your members are using the app? They're using the app, but actually I think they prefer. There was something. Was it Susan? Was it the problem with different phones, Android and iPhone, a while back? Because they were trying to use it on the screen on the phone, and it just wasn't as, like I said to them, you need to go on the desktop and use it. And actually the majority of them now use the desktop, and then the phone is the go-to app. So if they're out and about, they'll use the phone. Yeah, Adele's answered that for you as well.
Any other questions in terms of, for Bhavna? I mean, I know I'm asking my questions. I mean, Bhavna, what would be your, I mean, we all, you know, we've got a mixture of, we got a comment here. Let's address that before anything else. There's a FOMO about leaving Facebook group, knowing that Ugenie will have premium content, will shift the mindset and lessen the noise.
Yeah.
I think, you know, yeah, Bhavna, let's hear what you have to say on that. And then, yeah, I'll chip in.
You know, I absolutely agree. I think the problem is that, you know, social media is really noisy. Everyone is online right now. Everyone's doing stuff. And there are lots of other platforms, right? There's like hundreds of other new platforms coming out all the time for you to have your memberships on or whatever. Like, I think you have to choose what's best for you in the end and what works for your business model. And I think for our business model, the idea is that we need to be off Facebook. If we're on Facebook, it's causing actually, there's a lot of anxiety. People are not actually staying on your platform for long enough. But yeah, the FOMO is there, but I think I don't think it will be long lived, if that makes sense. I think it's that kind of, you know, I'm paying for something, so I need to go and access it. So like if you were, you know, if you downloaded the Asda app for buying food on it, you'd either go and buy food on it or you'd go to the supermarket to buy it. You have the option. So you'd come to Ugenie on the app, or you'd go onto the Facebook group, and then you have the choice. But actually the app will have more discounts. The app will have more like free delivery options, or the app will have, you know, whatever extra. You might get more coupons. Whereas if you just go on into the shop, you might not have the same experience. So I think that's probably how I see it, is that if you have Facebook, it's there and everybody's on Facebook. So fair enough. But Facebook's not the best place to, I mean, just look at the recent data breaches. It's not the ideal place for your clients to be on, especially if you have sensitive information, like with Hayden maybe, or, you know, even with Adele, like you have sensitive information about your clients or the people you're working with. And the last thing you want is for any of the information to be compromised or to be passed on to other people. So, and for me, that's really important. So for me, my clients that are on there, I want to be able to protect them.
Do you have any thoughts? And I know Facebook is your kind of area of expertise, but do you have any thoughts about LinkedIn and how, you know?
I love LinkedIn. I'm only starting to really get into LinkedIn right now. Danita, who was one of my clients for another mastermind I did, she's really great with LinkedIn as well. And she keeps saying, and Susan, you keep saying to me that you need to do more on it. And I've been starting to do a bit more on it. You know, we did bits for the summit, and I'm trying to be a bit more active. I've changed my bio a bit. It's a bit more reflective of what I'm doing right now. And I'm getting a lot of messages from unwanted people. So I'm trying to filter through those first. But it's been great. I've networked with quite a few new people on there, and I really think that I would love to grow Successful Superwoman into a community there, but then I'm adding more work for myself, right? So unless I could just take all of the Facebook group and add it into LinkedIn, then maybe it would make a difference. But I think if you're a B2B, like I think for Hayden, that would be a great area to grow, you know, your network, because essentially you're targeting, you know, people who are going to be more business focused and consumer focused, if that makes sense, right? So
yeah,
you know, it varies. I mean, for Adele as well, like Adele, you know, I know because she deals with specific women in over a certain age, and they've been in corporates, etc. So that might be a great place for her to be, as opposed to Facebook, because how many corporate women do you know will be on their 9 to 5 on Facebook? They're not, but they might take a lunch break and check their LinkedIn instead. So I guess you've got to do a lot of ideal client work and see where your clients hang out, and then decide where you want to hang out. Like for me, for my wedding photography business, I literally do zero, like maybe 1% on Facebook. Everything for my wedding photography business is on Instagram, because and a little bit on Pinterest, because a lot of my inquiries come from Instagram, because it's visual. Photography is visual, right? So they see it, they like it, they contact me. So I've just connected the two platforms. Whereas with coaching or mentoring or anything like that, it's very different. Your clients want to see you, they want to hear you. So Instagram, although it's great, and they follow you and they like your reels and all that kind of stuff. But really having a platform where you can speak and you're being shown as an expert, like maybe on LinkedIn, is a great way to grow your credibility.
Well, so next month, thank you, Bhavna, so much. I mean, if you have any other final tips, we'll definitely love to hear them. If there's any other questions, next month we'll have Heather and Richard as our featured community, and they're going to be talking to us about LinkedIn and how they've navigated launching primarily using LinkedIn. And I think so there's some similarities I can already see, right, between what Bhavna and Adele said in terms of consistency and engagement. If you're not engaging in your own groups, you cannot expect other people to engage in them as well, right? Especially in the early days. And so, I think we have two different kind of themes that we always have to talk about, which is when you're first starting out, how do you get new members? So that's a whole sales strategy. And I'm sure we'll have John come up in the next couple of months and talk to us about sales. And John, I'd love to book you in for May, if possible. What month are we in now? June. Are we in April now? Oh, this year is flying by so fast. I don't even know what month I'm in. But yeah, so maybe we can have John and Paul join us as a featured guest after we have Heather and Richard. But we've got the whole sales side, right? How do we get people into the community, especially because most of us are paid memberships? And then there's the whole, how do we keep them retained? And I think, and I do thank you guys. There are a lot of platforms out there. We are not the only one trying to crack this nut. But at the end of the day, no matter what platform you choose, it is about engagement, about being present and being consistent within your own community. That whole holy grail of, I want my community to start taking and talking to itself like Successful Superwomen does now, took about 3 years to build. It didn't happen overnight, right? So we see a lot of these overnight successes and we think we can achieve these. But as Bhavna is here to tell us, it takes a lot of time and patience and energy.
It does. And I think what you've got to be mindful of is don't compare. So there might be lots of other groups like yours out there or other businesses, but don't compare, because essentially what you're doing is your journey, and the people that will follow you are people who resonate with you. So as long as you're being, like, integrity is a huge thing. Just be true to yourself and the people come. I've never, like you've seen my kids just coming here. It's very much like that. When I'm in my own group, you just have to be true to yourself, and the people that resonate with that will come to you and they will join your groups or communities, or whatever causes that you want to support. But I'm also looking forward to, if you can invite me to this next month, John, or whenever you're doing the sales training with John, because I would love to also jump onto that and see what he's got to say about sales, because it's a great area of discussion.
Well, I think, yeah, so we definitely, there's so much expertise in the room. I think it'd be great, in addition to just talking about these, how Ugenie plays in your lives and whatnot, to maybe have you guys share some of your expertise on other topics within the community. I think that would be fantastic. John, we'd love to tap your brain, because I think the other side of things, we can talk about engagement and retention, but if we don't have members in the group, there's no one to engage or retain. So we do need to start working on sales strategy across the board. So with that, thank you, Bhavna, so much for calling in, for being with us and sharing all of your answers. Please feel free to reach out. Join Bhavna's group on Facebook, Successful Superwomen. Connect with her, connect with each other on LinkedIn, and connect with each other or talk to each other on Ugenie. I would love that. My goal this year is, I've always been told, and you guys all know me fairly well, that I need to be the best example of a Ugenie community. Now, I used to say, do I run my business or do I run a community? I can't do both. So, but no, we are, I'm going to try to achieve what, we talked to you guys about. I have one ask of everyone, other than, always continuing to share feedback and ways that we can improve the platform and share your bugs, is you can think of anyone that could use Ugenie. We are really trying to push it out. 2021 is about growth for us. Whether that's the off-the-shelf platform for membership, subscription, professional association, the likes of everyone that's in this room, or whether it's a brand that could use a white labeled version of our platform. The interesting thing with LinkedIn is that LinkedIn, I think, is a great tool, and I love it. I'm focusing a lot of my personal brand attention on LinkedIn. Is we're being approached by a lot of brands to build their own versions of LinkedIn. So the LinkedIn for sustainability, the LinkedIn for fitness, the LinkedIn for this, because LinkedIn itself is becoming so noisy that a lot of times it's becoming a new Facebook, right? It's essentially becoming a Facebook, not just, and it will catch up. Right now, LinkedIn doesn't have as many users, and we're already starting to see the challenges on how, our posts are not seen as much and organic reach is dropping. So, keeping all these things in mind, I think, we have we're talking to one company right now that definitely wants to build a sustainability LinkedIn, and they want to build and there's another one that's a property LinkedIn. So, these are just trends that I'm happy to share with you guys as we grow and people are talking to us. I do think there's going to be social media as a great place to market, and we have to crack how to market on these platforms, because it doesn't just work because we decide to use them. But I think a lot of people, a lot of rich communities with a lot of rich content are going to leave these platforms. So, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys have already invested in platforms that are not social media. But yeah, so just, again, I'll keep sharing those trends and things. I shared something this weekend about statistics on subscriptions and the rise of the model. So please do check out that post on LinkedIn.
Susan, can I just build on that? So this is your post come brilliantly. So I did a webinar, I did a speaking event with a financial company for health and wealth. I got a lead from it, had a call with her. She spoke about herself. She's just going to have an MD role, and she wants to get her hormones balanced. And I didn't realise at the time, she said, but I also am I run corporate benefits for wellbeing. I'm interested in your community. So you literally, the stats that you've just given me enable me to then have a conversation. Yes, I can look after her individually, but she then has softwares and platform, and I immediately got into a discussion around softwares and systems to help small and medium enterprises and how we can take what I've got. So don't underestimate the power of your email. So yes, because I was going to go, as always, I lead with data, and she's ex-HR, so we had a lot in common. So I need to understand not only the platform for me, but also what your roadmap is, and this data enables me to then build a community on your behalf. Because as soon as I talk about what I do with you and I explain what I've got, immediately they want a desktop tour, and I'm able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so no, I'll continue to send out those emails to you guys about not just what's going on here at headquarters, but subscription, what's going on in the industry, membership, subscriptions, online community. Yes, the Facebook breach of all those phone numbers and that data that was breached by Facebook. I mean, these are things that we all need to know, because it makes us more informed when we're talking to you guys are talking to your members. So I will continue to do that and ramp that up. So yeah, I mean, we are hiring here, as I've mentioned, so hopefully I can bring in some more support for you guys. And also, as we grow from a customer base, more faces to these calls. Thank you so much for joining today. We will be meeting at 3:30 again in 4 weeks' time with Heather and Richard, talking about how they've grown the new MyLink.
Nothing like the intensive of having to talk to actually get our together.
Hey, listen, look, you guys have done brilliantly, right? You launched your community, you were working with me, you launched you had 15 paid members before you launched. I mean, that was fantastic. Now you're growing, and everything happens in your own time. And you guys have grown it organically. You're talking to your members, and by the end of this, I would not be too hard on yourself. But yes, get into the community. The community is where the heart is.
If there's anything, Heather, that you want to bounce off me, please do connect with me. I'm very, very happy to share.
Thanks, Bhavna. Yeah, I'll connect. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. We hang out there a lot.
Any one last thing. And if you don't mind, I'd love to take a photo of everyone and their smiling faces and post it on my LinkedIn today, tagging you all in. If you don't want to be on camera, feel free to come off. Otherwise, I'm going to take a photo of all of
the background.
Beautiful faces. But on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Have a great week, and I'm sure I'll speak to you guys all at one-to-one at some point over the next couple of weeks.
Fab.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.